Eleanor and Alice, Conversations Between Two Remarkable Roosevelts by Eleanor. Act 1, Scene 1. November 1904. On the porch of Theodore Roosevelt's Oyster Bay, Long Island home, Sagamore Hill. 20-year-old Eleanor Roosevelt sits in a rocking chair, waiting for her cousin Alice, also 20.
Oh dear, not you here. Why is she always late? And at her own home?
Eleanor, darling, lovely to see you. I hope I haven't kept you waiting.
Not for very long.
Wonderful to see you here. Yes, the same.
It is lovely here at Sagamore. Although it is rarely peaceful, it is so much fun.
Of course it is fun. I live here. Listen, as I recite, I excel at recitation. All the Oyster Bay Roosevelts do. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward, all in the valley of death. Row the 600, forward the light brigade, charge for the guns he stayed, into the valley of death. Row the 600. Marvelous, aren't I? I mean, isn't it? I swear I've spent more time memorizing poetry in this house than I ever did in any schoolroom.
Not my favorite, but it is rousing.
I love ferocious poetry. All the Oyster Bay Roosevelts do.
How well I know it.
May I share something just absolutely, wonderfully evil with you?
If you must.
After President McKinley was shot down like a big dumb bison in Buffalo, Ted Jr. and I ran onto the lawn, just there.
Yes.
And we danced a jig. You did not. Yes, we most certainly did. A jolly old drunken Irish jig without whiskey inside.
But think of how poor Mrs. McKinley must have suffered.
Think of us, Eleanor. Father was wasted as McKinley's vice president, and then only 6 months later. What luck.
But it is terribly wicked to be so delighted about a presidential assassination.
But you can understand it, can't you? We were desolate when Father became vice president. The end of his political career, we thought. And then, that awful anarchist shoots a gun. And my father, your own late father's brother, Theodore Roosevelt, becomes the 26th president of the United States. Isn't the law of succession a wondrous thing?
I suppose so, but celebrating an assassination is just not proper.
Stop sulking about decorum. You're the favorite niece of the most popular president since George Washington.
I don't know about being anyone's favorite anything.
Don't play coy, dear. Everyone knows Father prefers you to me.
Uncle Ted would never play favorites. It is not in his nature.
The hell it isn't.
Alice. Language.
He calls me a gutter snipe and begs me to act more like you.
I do not believe any such thing.
You are much more like him than I am, performing goody-goody works with the Junior League in the city, teaching filthy urchins to read, or to be less filthy, whatever it is you
You could do it too. So many less fortunate children and their families need every bit of help we can offer.
I couldn't care less about the less fortunate. Well, their lives are too sad, I'm sure, and I have absolutely no interest in helping anyone except myself.
You do enjoy shopping, maybe.
I do, indeed. But it is also how I truly feel. I am only surprised that you and your Settlement House friends care so much about strangers.
Might I ask, what do you do with your days in Washington? Is there anything you are fervent about?
Fun. Every day I try fervently to have as much fun as I can fit into 24 hours. I make Father and Stepmama Edith mad with my antics, which makes it even more fun.
If I had even one living parent as you do, I do not think I should ever want to frustrate or upset you.
As a lonely and unloved little orphan demanding sympathy.
I have been on my own since I was 10, practically.
And my mother died when I was only 2 days old, but I still know how to enjoy life. Tell me, do you ever get any pleasure out of anything?
Certainly.
Name one thing.
Well,
Just one.
well, I enjoy enjoy knitting, crocheting. I darn a bit. I am working my way through Balzac in the original French. Actually, I do have something rather shocking in mind.
Such as,
Are you thinking of taking up driving?
there. I have already bought my own electric motor car.
Your own car?
Father and Edith were absolutely apoplectic when I drove onto the White House lawn in it, and then skidded into the East Garden one tipsy afternoon.
What did Edith say to that?
Who even cares? This past summer I drove, sped, actually, all the way from Newport to Boston with Ellen Drexel Paul and no chaperone.
But were you personally driving?
I am the president's daughter, of course I was.
That is the most exciting thing I can imagine. However, did you learn?
Eleanor, darling, you don't learn to drive. You just hop behind the wheel and drive.
We do live in extraordinary times, do we not?
Any age in which father can be president is a marvelous age.
I wonder if my friend would want to purchase an auto.
Your friend is a forward-thinking fellow. I think he'd love it.
Parking in Manhattan is beastly, they say.
Washington, too. My dear, you are positively glowing. Have you found my missing jigsaw puzzle piece? Or a naughty joke? Or have you just been walking briskly?
I have a favor to ask of you.
My answer is yes.
You do not even know if I'm
Does it rhyme with bridesmaid?
bridesmaid. Yes. However, did you guess?
Darling, you have been unable to hold a conversation without speaking about Franklin Roosevelt for months and months. I assume he is the lucky gentleman you have favored. Congratulations, dear girl.
Aside from his mama, Cousin Sarah, you are the first person who knows. She insisted we keep our engagement secret for an entire year. I think she believed Franklin would have a change of heart.
Are you afraid you will have a change of heart?
It is just, well, he is so handsome. He could have any girl he wants, any beautiful girl. Really. We all know I'm no beauty.
Darling, you are the girl he wants.
I can scarcely believe my good fortune in marrying at all, let alone Cousin Franklin. Think of it, that homely, lonely, tall orphan, Mademoiselle Edith.
He could do so much worse than you.
Thank you, I suppose.
I didn't mean that quite the way it sounded.
Do you think Uncle Ted would consent to give me away?
He wouldn't dream of asking anyone else to do it. You know, father. Let's be the corpse at every funeral, the bride at every wedding, the baby at every christening.
Then you will be a bridesmaid.
Of course. So, Miss Anna Eleanor Roosevelt is to make quite a marvelous match. When, dear?
Since Uncle Ted will be in New York as Grand Marshal of the St. Patrick's Day Parade, it seems the perfect date.
Think of that. Cousin Eleanor betrothed before me, Alice Blue, as the newspaper men call me.
You will not wear blue to the wedding. You bridesmaids must not stand out so very much.
I am called Alice Blue for the sensational blue-gray color of my eyes. They have been compared to the color of Wedgwood china. Sometimes I am called Princess Alice. I am particularly fond of that nickname.
The same color eyes as your mother's, Granny said.
I wouldn't know. Father has never once told me anything about my real mother.
I'm sorry.
At least you won't have to change your last name to marry Franklin. I should hate to change my name for any husband.
You know, that is the first thing I thought when Franklin proposed. How I wish Papa could let Franklin out of his man.
Time to put the past and morbid thoughts of your papa behind you and live in the present.
The fact is, I like to think that Papa is always with me. I feel his spirit and I'm a tiny bit less lonely.
Lonely? Who's lonely? I am never lonely. Up in summer boating parties, secret romances, private tete-a-tetes with gentlemen.
Do you never think about your late mother? She was a beauty, they say.
And so very wealthy, it's no wonder Papa adored her.
Uncle Ted would never marry a woman for that reason. He would only marry a woman of and spirit and spine, like Aunt Edith.
I don't know about my real mother, but Edith has spine enough to make her corset with her.
You shouldn't speak of that sort of thing. Why? Have you forgotten to wear yours? Let us change the subject. It is unseemly.
My head is still spinning in your news. You, Eleanor, about to be married. Do you remember once at Antibes in the city, I was trying to have a conversation with you, a grown-up conversation.
Absolutely not.
We were 13 and I was trying to share the facts of life with you, as I am gleaning them from the Bible on my grandparents' farm.
You will be buried in Cousin Sarah's house, on Fifth Avenue, so
And I began the Gat series, when you suddenly leapt on me and tried to smother me with a pillow, exclaiming that I was blasphemous.
You are exaggerating awfully. Nothing like that ever took place.
Are you desperately in love with Franklin?
Franklin is so very dear to me. It is almost as if Papa has returned to give my life the happiness that falls from my life. The miracle love that touches me so deeply, I believe.
I do not believe in crying for happiness. In fact, crying is a complete waste of my time. We must be strong, dear, always.
What a tremendous relief it would be to have someone who loves me unreservedly. Someone upon whom I can depend for everything. Just like you have with Ted.
You know, I too have set my cap for someone Father himself told me about. There's a young congressman coming in who might amuse you, he told me.
Whoever is he?
Mr. Nicholas Longworth, of the Ohio Longworths. Much to my astonishment, Father was right. I am mad for the fellow. Although Nick is 14 years my senior. Naturally, Edith says he drinks too much.
When will you announce your engagement?
Well, we aren't exactly engaged just yet. He believes he's in love with Marie Maxine.
And you know that he is not.
Darling, there is so much I know about relations between men and women that you would do well to learn before you marry. Permit me to enlighten you, finally. First, laugh at all of his jokes, even if they are risque. Second, even if he invites you to dine at the last minute, go. Third, if there is another lady in his life, destroy her.
I know you think I am innocent.
My dear girl, I think you are the innocent.
Then you mistake me. The depressing and sordid stories I have heard from my work in the slums, of social diseases, children born dead, and errant husbands are absolutely pitiable. Now that I consider it, I think perhaps you might not be so well suited to settle it.
Have you heard the anecdote that Father has been telling about when the writer Owen Wister visited the White House? Well, I was dashing about like a dervish, in and out of the room until Mr. Wister complained, and Father replied, I can run the country or I can control Alice, but I cannot possibly do both.
I hope you never change, Alice. You are a charming sprog who has the world for me.
And when we both marry the most marvelous males of our species, we shall be the happiest bride who ever wore wedding bells.
Scene 2, 16 years later, December 1920. Eleanor and Alice, both 36, are in the middle of an argument.
Why in the world would you do that? Why would you intend Junior call Franklin a coward while he was running for vice president?
Well, he didn't join up, did he?
You know very well he was a 35-year-old father of 5 with a job vital to the war effort.
Assistant Secretary of the Navy, not so vital. Besides, all's fair in love and politics.
Your own father was assistant secretary of the Navy.
Only until he charged up San Juan Hill, whereas Franklin dug in behind his desk instead of standing by a Gatling gun.
In truth, against my wishes and wishes of President Wilson, he was about to enlist, but then the war suddenly ended.
Franklin always was a lucky fellow. Except when it comes to running mates, as we have recently witnessed.
Franklin was fortunate enough to be called to run as vice president on the ticket with Governor Cox so early in his career.
Fortunate to run with Cox. That political nothing. That pitiful Wilson protege.
A great progressive who even Uncle Ted might have supported.
Bourgeois. Cox had no business running the highest office in the land, and Franklin had no business being on the ticket with him. He was only nominated for the name. Our name.
It is his name, too. Franklin is a man whose future might...
I hate to tell you, dear, but after this defeat, Franklin's political future is over.
Not necessarily. Even Mr. Lincoln lost elections in his political career. He became president all the same.
Are you actually comparing Franklin to Abraham Lincoln? Your wifely devotion is touching, if ludicrous.
You are deliberately avoiding my point.
Which is?
You and your brother did everything you could to destroy Mr. Cox and Franklin's hope for election.
They had no chance to win.
No chance to win, and yet you and your brother trailed their campaign across the country. Ted Jr. telling everyone that Franklin didn't have the Roosevelt brand.
Which is absolutely true. Father would never have supported that ticket.
Uncle Ted might not have voted for Franklin against his own party, but he certainly would have never abused him in public as you did. To others, I might understand, but to a cousin.
You know I mean. If only Father had lived.
It is not healthy in a democracy for any man to be president for very long. And, of course, Uncle Ted was not a real man.
He grew old too young.
I miss you so
It
much.
was a terrible trip down the Amazon that broke him. He had to be carried through the jungle to safety. My brother Kermit nearly died of the fever there himself.
Dear Uncle Ted, he no longer had that dynamic spirit when he returned home from that horrific ordeal, did he? No longer healthy, no longer animated by his enthusiasms.
If Quentin hadn't died in the war, I don't think Father would ever have undertaken a horrendous expedition. It seems to me now as if he wanted to die.
Never Uncle Ted. He loved adventure for its own sake, as if misfortune would never touch him again after Quentin was shot down.
All the brothers have suffered so terribly from the Great War, are still suffering from their wounds, and then the death of the dear old lion himself.
Hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor hope for pain. We are here, as on a dark plain.
Swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight,
Where ignorant armies crash by night. If you hate war, then why would you ever taunt Franklin for not joining up?
It is a matter of being a Roosevelt, like Father, doing the right thing when your country calls. Come to think of it, Franklin might be lucky to have lost an election so early in his life. He can go back to the law now and watch from the sidelines as my brother Ted and I mow down every competitor on our way back to the White House.
Despite the loss, Franklin is more committed to politics than ever.
What makes you say so?
It is a private matter.
Oh, secret. You can always tell me a secret. I love them more than life itself.
It is not a secret, just private, personal, another war wound in a way.
Oh, that. I know all about that matter.
I am sure that you do not, that you cannot.
I know that your private little secret matter involves a certain comely Miss M. Am I correct?
How could you possibly?
Well, we have a large and talkative family. There are a few secrets that are unknown to me.
But I told no one, nor did Franklin, I am certain.
Darling, you couldn't have been completely surprised by the matter. Not really. Handsome husband and father stuck in town while the wife and chicks head off for the summer. Your lovely social secretary stays behind.
Lucy was wonderful to me. So helpful. The children loved her. She was like an older sister to my Anna.
Lucy was a darling girl. Franklin came back to you, though, didn't he? Just the slightest push from the law.
She does not believe in divorce.
I presume she believes in less than adultery.
finding out about the affair, the bottom dropped out of my world, and I was forced to face myself and everything I thought I knew, honestly, for the first time. The sense of betrayal nearly destroyed me. Franklin and I shared everything. Our lives, our love, the death of our beautiful baby.
Men have the babies, women could live extraordinary lives.
I never wanted a public life, you see. Franklin knew how shy I was, how I hated having to speak and be seen in public, but he chose politics. And as his wife, I was bound to follow along. It was nearly unbearable for me to visit the Washington wives, chatting about nothing over tea for those long half hours.
I hated that silly social exercise too. Never did. Not for Nick, not for Father.
I offered Franklin his freedom. I told him if he really loved Lucy and wanted to make a life with her, I would stand beside him. But
He wants to remain in politics. And he can't run for office as a divorced man. Impossible.
I will forgive him eventually. Possibly. But I have a memory like an elephant. I will never, ever forget.
Come now, Eleanor. Never is a very long time. We are sophisticated people. We forgive. We forget. We move on.
He deceived me in such a tawdry way. He was bored and lonely one hot summer, and he fell in love. When he knew how desperately I needed his absolute devotion. When he loved me, I knew that I was worth loving.
I believe that Nick may have loved me once. But the truth is, I was never sure about Father.
Although I know that Papa adored me, I never understand why he abandoned me to drink.
They say Uncle Elliot's personality changed completely because of it.
Once, when I was a girl, Papa and I were walking about the city, and he stopped into his club for a moment, he assured me. Then left me sitting, waiting for him the entire day outside, entirely forgotten by him.
My father would never have done that.
I thought no other event in my life would ever wound me like that. But I was stung to the very core of my being when I found Franklin and Lucy's loved ones. It was like another day.
I saw them together, you know. Franklin and Lucy riding in a motor summer before last, while you and the children were in Campanella.
You saw them. You knew before I
I
did.
called out to him, "She's lovely, Franklin," and he said, "Yes, isn't she?" I invited them to dinner once or twice, a few times. Did he tell you?
Some things.
Ah, he told you I invited him, but did not mention Lucy's presence. A delightful interest. She charmed everyone there.
You knew, and you never told me.
I tried to once, but you couldn't or wouldn't listen.
You did not really try, though, did you?
I did, darling. I knew how absolutely devastated you would be once you discovered the terrible, awful, humiliating truth, so I thought it should be a friend or relation who told you.
No matter how I found out, I would have been shafted all the same.
But the affair is all over now, isn't it? Cousin Sarah put her foot down.
Mama informed Franklin that he would receive no further financial support from her. And Mr. Howell, his campaign manager, reminded him that he never aspired to higher office as a divorced man.
Poor Franklin. He didn't have much choice then, did he?
Poor Franklin. He's given up Lucy for good. If he had not promised me that, I could not have gone on with him.
So, no divorce?
There will be no divorce.
If only I could have divorced Nick in 1912 as I had wanted. But Father convinced me that would be a betrayal of the American people, so Nick and I have remained together. I hope the American people are reassured.
divorce should be avoided. I believe that.
You are satisfied then? You are confident Franklin will keep his promise?
Of course. He's an honorable man.
Albeit an unfaithful one. Has it ever occurred to you that dear cousin Franklin originally admired you for your close friendship to his hero, my father?
Is that what you think? Is that what the family thinks? That Franklin was drawn to me because of Uncle Ted, and not because he loved me for myself.
Now, don't be so dramatic. I was just being provocative. It is my particular gift, as you know.
You were quite keen on Franklin at one time, weren't you? Cousin Laura thinks you might have been a little in love with him.
Good heavens, no. He was a jolly boy, a great pal, the kind of young man one invites to the dance, but not to the dinner.
But you do not actually dislike him.
He is impossible to dislike. Such an amiable, empty suit. Ted and I like to say that the FD in FDR stands for feather duster. That's a lightweight of a man for all his height.
Then neither of you understands the real Franklin. The serious, curious, thoughtful man. A man of purpose. I still believe that.
You no longer have to speak so well of him, dear. The Oyster Bay side never has. Pretend you're me. Be hateful.
I do still admire him. I just do not believe I can ever love him as I once did. As a wife should love her husband. Oddly enough, in some ways it is a liberating arrangement. I can make a life for myself now, within certain confines. Pursue my own interests.
Do you mean we will take a lover?
Don't be absurd. I mean, if I work with the League of Women Voters and my Democratic Party unions, now that we women have the power to vote, we must use it.
I adore voting, although I was no suffragist. It is one of my two great passions in life now. Champagne is the other. Make that three. I have taken a lover.
How could you do such a thing? It is immoral. You are President's daughter.
Why not? Everyone knows what Nick is. The house doorkeeper calls him the biggest womanizer in the history of the capital.
I deplore that kind of talk.
I should have known sacred union was cursed from the day we exchanged our vows. At our wedding, the knife they gave me to cut the cake was so dull, I was forced to seize the sword of father's military aid and slice into it like Jack the Ripper. If only I'd slashed Nick instead.
You might have still made a happy marriage, no? More effort on your side?
Edith was right, after all. He is a drunk. On top of being an incorrigible philanderer. In baseball, that would be 2 strikes against him. That said, I have found many delightful compensations, despite Nick's perfidy.
You do not find anything the least appalling in a woman breaking the pledge of marriage.
Is it worse for a woman than for a man?
I believe it is. Although, now that I think of it, I cannot tell you why. That should not be so, should it?
Not for this woman.
I've been wondering lately, are we helpless against the follies and romantic dreams of our youth? The expectations placed on us by society and families.
Those kinds of questions are pointless. There's no answer to them. My suggestion is for both of us to fill our lives with as much passion as we can find with whomever we choose. I, for one, will not permit anyone's rules to stand in my way.
I worry about you, dear.
Why shouldn't Princess Alice enjoy herself? Father is gone. And the truth is, Nick doesn't give 2 figs for me. Perhaps he never did.
Do you not find your life gossip and jest rather aimless? A good and meaningful existence must be created, you know, with intention and consciousness of purpose. It doesn't sprout out of the ground like, well, like a mushroom.
Living a life like yours, nobly and generously, interests me not in the least.
I have come to believe that it is up to us to change ourselves and not be changed by circumstance. I strive for more fortitude every day, as Uncle Ted did.
Yes. Father was a great believer in that.
What if we were given the ability to go back to our goal before we made these marriages? Would we make the same mistakes?
You're looking back again, dear. Train your gaze forward as I do. But my secret is not to brood on things.
It is so difficult for me not to dwell on what might have been. Yet, when I do, I feel an unshakable sorrow.
Don't feel so much. Life is more enjoyable that way.
I wish I could go back to life as it had been before. But once a man has been wrong, it cannot be unwrong.
Oh, very sad, I'm sure.
To me, it is the saddest thing in the world.
Scene 3, 2 years later, December 1922. 38-year-old Alice awaits Eleanor.
My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. If I could write like that, I would die contented and proud and never speak another nasty, sarcastic, or bitter word about anyone. Luckily, that is something I will never have to worry about.
You read beautifully, cousin.
Not as well as father. He had a unique way of bringing poems to life. You're looking well.
Not true.
How is Franklin feeling? Any change?
Not any change for the better. It's an awful diagnosis.
Has Franklin resigned himself to it?
Somehow, not. He is convinced he can walk on his own again. Without crutches, or wheelchair, or leaning on someone's arm.
Then perhaps he will.
Of course he will not. It is not possible. There is nothing more to be done.
Sit down, dear. You're exhausted. You heard me reading the Shelley. Tell me, is it wrong for me to enjoy the sound of my own voice so very much?
You have a charming voice.
I hope you received my letter. I meant every word I wrote. We've all been so worried. Edith and Ted Jr. too.
I received no letter from you or Ted. Edith wrote a long and kind note, though.
How vexing! I really had poured my heart and soul into it. I can almost reconstruct it. I might have said something about what a happy future Franklin could have, collecting stamps and being a part-time attorney from home, now that his political future is in the ash heap.
In any case, although I do not understand how you can think so, Franklin does not believe his political future is over. Nor, strangely enough, does Mr. Howell.
That sort of self-deception might serve as an effective strategy for keeping his spirits up, no? Such a fine fellow as Franklin shouldn't have to suffer.
Mamma is devastated. I hear her weeping in the library when she believes she's alone. She will never walk again. She whispers over and over.
Do you weep often?
There's been so much to weep about in these last years. But if there's nothing to be done about it, then there's nothing to be done. One must still carry on.
I almost cried too when I heard. What a vigorous man he was. Lovely dancer. Although Nick is a musician and appears elegant, he has no talent on the dance floor. My husband does other things on floors, of course. Just ask the lady friend he seduced in my home on my Persian rug. And this female had the cheek to leave her purse and stockings behind, and then the temerity to ask for them back.
What are you saying?
Nothing much. Cup of tea. Unless you prefer a more sincere libation. Since this wretched prohibition, I almost always carry something tiny with me.
You know I rarely drink.
Oh, yes, yes. Your poor father was a hopeless drunk, so you must avoid the terrible temptation he was helpless against.
Alcohol not only killed my father, but my uncles Valley and Eddie and my dear brother Hall live its devastation every day.
You don't mind if I have a wee Gran?
As you wish.
Franklin obeys the law.
Still enjoys a martini every now and then. Have you asked Nick to take the pledge?
Not to completely stop, but to moderate, which he refuses. Doesn't see himself the way all of Washington does. He's a good-natured lush.
Is he delinquent in his congressional duties?
Somehow, not at all. Which is why he cannot understand my anxiety over the subject. But then Congress is such a sordid place in the country of the drunk. The last man standing is named Speaker of the House.
Would you like me to talk with him?
You can't be serious. You would be the last person that Nick would listen to on this subject.
Of course. I understand.
Now, cousin, no wounded feelings. You knew what I meant.
I suppose I do.
Don't you ever get angry, Eleanor?
I try not to.
Why? Why try? I'm angry all of the time, or at least exercise about something or other. People so rarely do as I want them to, which makes me so furious. I could spit.
I find anger unproductive. And one often ends up apologizing for one's temper afterwards.
I never apologize. That is a point of pride with me. I never do it.
It is no surprise to hear you say so.
And despite Franklin's traumatic illness and the family's distraction by it, you should know the news before we announce it publicly. Ted will be tossing his hat in the ring for the New York governor's race in 24.
But that means running against Al Smith, quite a skillful politician.
Al Smith cannot hope to stand against Ted Roosevelt Jr. Not in my New York.
The election is 2 years off, dear. You of all people should know that anything can happen in politics at that time.
We have very specific and definite plans, Ted and me.
Ted will have to campaign hard indeed to beat Mr. Smith.
Campaign hard, you say, to beat that Tammany trash.
Al Smith represents working New Yorkers and immigrant New Yorkers, millions of them. People who feel he understands them.
Have you seen his wife? She looks like Irish washerwoman.
Mrs. Smith is not the candidate.
Mr. Smith is a Tammany Hall political machine crony with an 8th grade education. My brother Ted is a war hero, a successful businessman, and President Theodore Roosevelt's son. And in the not too distant future, he will grab up the biggest prize of them all.
Very definite plans, it would seem.
First, Ted will win the governorship, as father did, and then it is back to the White House for us. The white-hot center of power.
Princess Alice again. Take care. The best laid schemes of mice and men came out to play.
There are schemes, and there are Roosevelt schemes. Father wanted his boys to follow him, and they will. They must.
But Uncle Ted has been in the state assembly, was city police commissioner, and elected governor of New York before he was even Mr. McKinley's vice president. Ted Jr. spent all of 2 years in the assembly. When you get right down to it, your brother does not have much experience.
It won't matter. We want it more.
Since when does life give us what we most desire?
For me, quite often.
More than anything in this work, I want Franklin to recover from this terrible affliction, this polio virus, for it to somehow leave his body and return him as he was. But just because I pray for Franklin's recovery hardly means he will recover.
Who knows about these things? Perhaps he will mend completely in a year or two.
Have you not been listening? There is no possibility of that. None.
Well, don't be so despairing, dear. You will still manage to live very well, even if Franklin never recovers. You and the children will be taken care of by Cousin Sarah's millions of shekels.
Do you not understand what I'm talking about? Our world has come close to collapse. Franklin's needs are endless. Anna hates me because I gave Mr. Alcala's bedroom. We have to hire and unhire nurses and physical therapists. Mama lectures me about tiring Franklin. Franklin is irritable at taking so long to recover any kind of movement. I must negotiate between warring sides daily, hourly.
Difficult, I'm sure. Although I'm surprised that you would do it so willingly, considering everything that has happened between you.
I help the therapist work with him, and I change the clammy sheets on his bed after he finishes his exercises. I monitor the children's visits so they see him at his best and not when he is in the throes of a spasm.
No more details, please. The picture in my mind is ghastly enough.
Everyone needs more of me than I have to give. I fear I am failing all of them, all of the time. And I do not have the luxury of collapse or surrender, which is all I want to do.
If I were you, I'd hire more help.
Doctors told us at one point that he might have been completely and permanently paralyzed from the neck down.
All I can say is do your best.
You would not be so casual if you had ever known and cared for someone who was bedridden with an illness for which there was no cure.
I am not casual, I am a realist. You would do better to be one too.
I know this awful infantile paralysis is felt by us both in different ways. Although it is his illness, the residue is ours to share. Decency and loving vows once pledged to good faith demand that we must go through this terrible time together.
After you had been betrayed by him, does he deserve your devotion?
He needs me. That is the most important thing.
I cannot be so forgiving. Unless I had other distractions, which, fortunately, I always have.
There are too many people dependent upon my competence to care for that sort of silliness. Sometimes I wonder if God is punishing me.
Why would God punish such an angel of mercy and constant goodness?
No one who has children is good all of the time, or half the time, or any division of the time.
I have no talent for being an angel, which I take devilish delight in.
You don't have to be an angel to care about something outside of yourself.
But I do care about something outside of myself. I care about my family's political future. Life is much less messy that way.
Sometimes, mess is unavoidable. Shut the door on it, close your eyes to it, it will never resolve itself.
I can always find someone to clean it up.
Then your life's purpose is never to dirty your hands with the real work of living.
When Father was alive, my life was full and fun, entertaining, exciting. When Ted Jr. becomes president, which he will, I intend to return to that kind of life. I was made for more than tease and teasing.
I wish I had the confidence in anything that you seem to have in everything. I only know that I am exhausted all of the time, almost too weak to fend off depression and hopelessness.
A little more confidence in the possibility of a happy outcome, Eleanor, and I am certain your life would appear much brighter.
A little less self-assurance from you, Alice, and you would be easier to talk to.
It's funny you should say so. At a dinner party the other night, I was nattering on about something or other until some poor gentleman there could bear my arrogance no longer and burst out with, "You say things with more finality to less foundation than anyone I know."
That didn't fit.
I dread for the truth, no matter who says it.
I really should be going. People are depending on me at home.
Scene 4, 2 years later, October 1924. 40-year-old Eleanor sits knitting. Alice rushes in.
Father would be disgusted with you.
My dear, I've never seen you so distressed. Catch your breath, please, lest you have an attack.
Hannah Eleanor Roosevelt riding all around New York State with that paper-mache teapot effigy sitting on the roof of a car just to shame my brother of that silly scandal.
A rough stunt, you think?
As rough as any saboteur.
An innocent prank, really. Something you yourself might have done.
You know full well that both Ted and Archie were exonerated of all blame in the heart of his teapot dome mess.
In a court of law, yes. But in the court of probability, the evidence is rather damn.
Neither of my brothers knew anything about the oil swindle.
It is much more than a swindle. It is a terrible scandal. Oil leases that belong to the government were practically donated to an oil company that employs your brothers, a former president's sons. Tad and Archie stand deep in the midst of this mess.
They are in the midst of nothing.
Tell me then, why Ted, as Assistant Secretary of the Navy, handed over those oil leases to Mr. Sinclair, while Archie was a vice president at the company.
That is beastly. Even for you to say.
As beastly as harassing Franklin during the 1920 election campaign to call him a coward.
No comparison between the two.
All's fair in love and politics, you once told me.
Ted Jr. has not forgiven you for this teapot dome trick, nor will he ever.
It seemed to me that one nasty turn deserved another.
If my brother does not win the governorship, let it be on your conscience.
Fall is glorious out here, isn't it? New York in autumn gives one hope about so many things.
Eleanor notices a rake leaning against the porch and takes it.
I shall rake your leaves.
Don't bother with that. Some brother generally takes care of it.
No bother. I love your brother.
You seem oddly giddy. Did you enjoy your little political sideshow that much?
Did you listen to our party's convention on the radio? Extraordinary. Would you not acknowledge?
What I acknowledge is that your party tore itself apart. It will never be able to patch itself up in time for November's election. 103 ballots. 2 weeks of sweltering madness. Yours is the most disorganized party in the history of organized politics.
Conventions are free-for-alls, I grant you, but there lies the excitement of it.
You are still in love with that cigar-smoking stinker, Al Smith.
Well, not just that. Until Franklin walked to that podium to nominate Mr. Smith, I did not think it was possible.
Surely you exaggerate.
If only you had been there to see his triumph. Shall I tell you how Franklin managed it?
If you feel you must.
Eleanor places the rake back.
He and Jimmy had marked off the distance he'd have to walk to the convention stage. They practiced the march, over and over. Franklin gripping Jimmy's arm. He did not fall in front of all those delegates and the monkey-monks of the party.
Are you crying?
It was almost impossible for Franklin. How bravely and strongly Jimmy supported him. Miraculous.
Next up, Lords.
This once beautiful figure of man, hobbled by a hideous virus that shows him no mercy. When I saw him walk to that podium in front of thousands,
Give the sermon on the Mount.
and show the country and the world and himself that he is not useless, that he is of mind, spirit, courage,
And ambition.
granted. What the bravery. They stood and applauded him for 10 minutes when he nominated Mr. Smith and called him
The happy warrior. Banal words, if ever there were any.
It is thrilling, isn't it?
For all of Franklin's effort, the party didn't even nominate Smith for president. They chose John W. Davis, who will certainly lose to Silent Cal.
Mr. Coolidge is a popular vice president. But don't forget the governor's race is still to come. And since Al Smith was unable to win our party's nomination for president, Ted Jr. will face him in November. Mr. Smith, I still maintain, will be difficult to beat, even by your brother.
You have become a true political animal at last. A real Roosevelt.
Quite a compliment coming from you.
If only you were a Republican.
I would have been if I could have voted for Uncle Ted. But I've not been so enthused about your party since then. I don't think I get to meet a truly religious, truly spiritual man in it.
Balderdash.
You must admit, it was a tremendous moment for Franklin. I'm proud I was there to see it, much to my surprise.
So, all is patched up between you two?
I will concede this. I do admire Franklin's resilience.
Selfless as ever, aren't you?
Hardly. I once thought his love would be my life purpose. It did not. It could not, I suppose. But there is something to the man. Something worthy of admiration, at the very least. He's all patched up with you and me.
Too late for that. I never thought Nick's love would give my life meaning. I only hoped that he would love me better than Father did. Is that not the most infantile statement you have ever heard from me?
We understood nothing when we married. We were both too young.
Speak for yourself. I have known myself since I was 5 years old. As far as Nick goes, I now see that his multifarious faults, I was blinded to his multifarious faults by my own vanity and the devotion I assumed was due me as Princess Alice.
I have learned that we must work every day to earn devotion, to prove our worth and usefulness.
Devotion is too ephemeral to be counted on. I will never make that mistake again.
Even devotion to children.
I wouldn't know. I shall never have any, obviously. Either Nick or I, it seems, are not built for procreation.
How sad for you both.
Can you imagine Nick, the devoted father? Absurd, and I would be a terrible mother. Truthfully, I don't care all that much for smaller persons. I agree with Edith's observation. I like to see the little faces, but I prefer to see their backs when they go.
When I was a girl, I had thought I would be a wonderful parent. I can still remember how it feels to think that you're like a child. But in truth, I had no idea what I was doing as a young mother. I was confused, ignorant, and overwhelmed.
Knowing Franklin, I assume he was often in good cheer, playmate to them, the one who taught them the things you had no talent for. They loved him best.
And their grandmother. Mamma is very generous, too generous with them. She adores them unreservedly. That is not my style.
There are too many children around as it is. It may not be quite the thing to say, but I find the freedom of childlessness glorious.
But if none of us had children, what would happen to the species?
Once I am gone, the species can go to the devil.
Why don't you run for president? For office? Against Franklin, perhaps? You would enjoy that enormously, would you not?
That spot is reserved for Ted. For one thing, I abhor public speaking. I prefer to stand behind the scenes, observe, and advise.
What a ludicrous statement. I have never met anyone who enjoys the public spotlight as much as you do. Except perhaps Uncle Ted.
I can only speak with fortification of this kind.
I have seen you, blessedly sober, out in public, speaking on behalf of Nick, railing against the League of Nations, and of course abusing Franklin.
That's not public speaking. That's more like talking out loud to myself in front of a few friendly strangers.
You are more than vociferous in sharing your opinions at any opportunity, under any conditions.
When it comes to my family, yes. When it comes to Ted becoming governor and eventually president, absolutely. When it comes to me, Alice Roosevelt Longworth, becoming both the sister of the President of the United States and wife of the Speaker of the House, you'd better believe it. No woman has ever been in such a position, not even you. Do you understand what I am saying? Not even the extraordinary Eleanor!
Alice, are you well?
Oh, you bet I am. Finally, it will all have been worth it. The dreadful joke of marrying Nick, the heartbreaking election losses, father dying suddenly quenching the building of the war, because then we, Oyster Bay Roosevelts, will be back where we were meant to be.
Calm yourself, dear. I've never seen you so overwrought. Remember, we are still family.
Take it from me. It is safe as scripture. A Roosevelt will be president again.
End Act 1. 10-minute intermission. Act 2, Scene 1. May 1933. Eleanor's homey cottage, Valkyrie. Wood-paneled walls are decorated with framed photos of family and political allies. 48-year-old Eleanor rushes about, packing papers, notes, and books.
Hello? Let yourself in, Alice. Where are you? I'm in the midst of moving my office to Washington. I shall be right with you. Well, you must be awfully pleased with yourself. Franklin did terribly well, didn't he? 471 electoral votes won. 22,821,277 votes. And he carried 42 states. We are so proud of his victory. The country has elected the right man for our time.
The wrong man for any time.
If you mean not Ted Jr., he did not even run.
How in the world by more than 7 million votes? Hoover should have demanded a recount. How many illegal immigrants voted? How many dead Democrats?
What is truly astonishing is that Mr. Hoover did not lose by a greater number. 1/3 of the country is unemployed.
I can't quite place which historical tyrant Franklin is reminding me of. Caesar or Robespierre. Your party has stolen what is rightfully ours. I mean Ted's.
Sit down, Alice dear. I hope you know how wretched we felt to hear of Nick's death.
Oh, as much as I felt, I am sure, which is to say, not very much at all.
The daughter you thought you could never have is only 8. Paulina will miss Nick in her life as she grows up. I am only too familiar with that.
She'll get over it, as I did. The loss of the mother I never knew. These misfortunes can be borne.
It will haunt her.
Well, she is not an orphan. She still has me.
That is fortunate, of course.
I am more concerned with Ted's political prospects than the loss of Paulina's horrid father. I confess, I still don't know how Franklin did it. His victory is like living in a torturous nightmare.
The depression has been going on for 3 years. The voters hunger for
Well,
help.
everyone I know who wants to work, works.
Obviously, you do not know the right people, dear.
This is a tragic election error. There is no other explanation for it. I and everyone I know, except you and Franklin, voted for Hoover. How could he have lost?
If you looked around your ornamented world occasionally, you might see the desperation. If you stopped for even one moment's contemplation, you might even feel it in the air.
What I see is that your Franklin promised more than is possible. Relief for the unemployed and tax cuts? Ridiculous.
The important thing is that someone is open to doing something.
Mr. Hoover was doing something.
Not enough, and not fast enough.
At the rate your reckless husband is going, he will bankrupt the Treasury and destroy any hope of restoring the economy. Fortunately, that will bring the Republicans back to power in 36, which should teach you and Franklin a serious and painful lesson. How many of those insipid agencies has he created this week? The FERA, the CCC, the AAA, an alphabet soup of deception.
They are providing help to desperate people.
Well, if you're talking about government giveaways, take it from me, real Americans will never accept handouts. And I am not the only person who thinks so.
Can you not see that a free and functioning society must have compassion for its people, a vested interest in their success and happiness?
You support Franklin and all these pseudo-socialism?
I support the President of the United States, a man who has known tragedy, excruciating pain, desperation, and helplessness. That man knows the ache of life.
My father worked his way out of his illness through a strenuous life. Franklin is still in a wheelchair. He is a mollycoddle, trying to pull off a mollycoddle philosophy on the American people.
If you could see how hard he works to shun self-pity, to bring himself back as nearly as possible to the dynamic man he once was, you would see he is no mollycoddle.
These government programs are no more than ladder runs, leading our country down into the sewer of social disorder. Are you both full-fledged communists now? Are the workers about to seize control of the means of production?
Rest easy, capitalism is safe under Franklin. But providing relief of any kind is what our government must do.
I think I might be having a heart attack.
You might just be. The white-hot center of the world, Alice. You wanted it back, and here we are. Roosevelt's back at the helm.
Well, what is the use when one is on the wrong side of the family?
And on the wrong side of history.
Well, it is not just me. Edith grows incensed when people assume she is the mother of the newly elected president.
We all have our crosses to make.
But if my brother Ted had only been elected...
It is time to face the fact, dear. Ted Jr. is not the man of the future you thought him to be.
Well, this country doesn't need a man of the future. It needs Theodore Roosevelt Jr.
I saw Auntie Corinne a month before she died, you know. She confessed that she had voted for Franklin.
Oh, how could she do anything so despicable? She was father's sister.
It would seem that good sense triumphed over family prejudice.
Franklin must have been terribly rattled by that madman in Miami.
Far from it. He was almost unnaturally calm when I spoke to him afterwards. He is extraordinary in a crisis.
Well, is it possible that the polio has affected his brain?
It took me hours to find out exactly what had happened, who, if anyone, was hurt.
Well, I can't tell you how relieved I was that Franklin was spared.
Truly.
Yeah. That is the sort of thing one is supposed to say to the wife, is it not?
You seem to be filled with antipathy toward a man whose company you once enjoyed so.
I still do. I mean, Franklin is a chum, always.
Yet on the radio you claimed that Franklin belittled the intelligence of the average
Well,
citizen.
perhaps you don't understand the political game as well as you think.
I almost wished there had been an error. I didn't relish going to the White House at all, but nobody asked for my opinion.
Well, you would be a fool not to be enthusiastically for it.
I was depressed for weeks after the election, giving up my own political work only to be a professional hostess. If I consider it for too long, the very idea defeats me.
If you dislike a landslide political victory, why ever did you marry a politician?
He was not a politician when we married. However, you will be happy to know that I have since regained my equilibrium. I now think that I might make something interesting out of the position. I might actually do some good. But if it won't be too emotional for you, we should love to have you visit us in the White House. But don't feel obligated to. Be sure you really want to.
What about your special friend, Miss Hickok, the lady reporter, and the other females in pants? Will you invite them?
If you mean Nancy and Marion, they will certainly be welcome at the White House. Hick is not only a dear friend, but a fine reporter and a wise one.
Well, everyone knows about your sapphic sisters, Eleanor.
That is a disgusting way to describe such gifted women. I hardly think my friend should interest anyone but me.
You cannot be that naive. Washington is a bonfire of gossip. Anything that goes on in or around the White House is fuel for it.
That will not be true of the Roosevelt White House.
Oh, but my dear, it already is. And Franklin has just taken office. Why, the rumors are rampant.
Rumors? About me? Alice, did you have anything to do with this storytelling?
Not very much.
That is scandalous, insupportable.
You see how little you know about Washington? You are scarcely better than amateurs.
Franklin was elected governor of the most populous state in the country twice.
Well, neither of you has what it takes to play on this particular stage. Your feelings won't be spared. Why, in Washington, as they were in Albany, the opposition party will reveal your weaknesses, and rather than doing so, it gives me only small pleasure to say that the nation will suffer because of it.
We shall see, won't we? Do you remember your Emily Dickinson? So angels say on yesterday, just as the dawn was red, one little boat, o'erspent with gales, retrimmed its masts, redecked its sails, and shot exultant on. It is almost as if Miss Dickinson wrote this poem for our country at this moment in history. The little boat is our country, you see. Franklin will bring us out of the storm, will trim our sails and masts, and onward we will sail.
Mollycoddle. Bourgeois.
Scene 2, 11 years later, August 1944. 60-year-old Alice sits as a preoccupied Eleanor reads papers and takes notes.
He was my comrade, my confidant. There will be none like him again in this world.
This has been an awful and painful war. No family will be untouched.
Losing Ted is too terrible a burden to bear.
It absolutely is.
I miss my brothers. I lost one to the First War.
Oh, dear Quentin.
Oh, now my Ted. He was only 56. Archie was even younger, and his wounds had nearly devastated him. And then Kermit's suicide.
But you are alive. You're hale, hearty.
There's so much destruction caused by war lovers like Franklin and yourself.
Agitated and argumentative as ever.
Really should have someone pick those blackberries back there. Looks very untidy. The First Lady's property should not look so unkempt.
When the grandchildren visit, they enjoy collecting and eating them. When I wrote about their last visit in my column,
If you had kept your typewriter silent, we wouldn't have lost so many lives.
Franklin agreed with me, as did Mr. Morgenthau, Mr. Hopkins.
None of those men know how awful war is.
Mr.
I
Stinson,
am wounded
Mr.
beyond
Knox.
endurance. You wanted this war too. Don't deny it. I read your column. Occasionally.
There was no such thing as isolation after Pearl Harbor. Your brothers knew it. They stepped forward and joined up.
Admit it, you were shelling for war in hundreds of newspapers around the country.
After the Great War, I was a confirmed pacifist. But this situation was different. It was absolutely dire.
Our war is terrible. There is no rationale for any of them. But you're Franklin, manipulating.
You know very well that Franklin did not maneuver us into this war. We need not wage that tiresome battle between us again.
The Japs only bombed us after Franklin refused to sell them the oil they needed. We should have listened to Lindbergh.
If we had listened to Lindbergh, we would all be speaking German. Even your your brother Ted resigned from your isolationist America First Committee the day after the attack.
But we had quite a row about that. Father never would have forgiven him for that.
You are quite mistaken. Uncle Ted would never have been part of an isolationist group. He was an interventionist to his son.
You can't begin to imagine how I feel.
Our family's losses have been tragic. It was valiant for all three of your brothers to join up and serve their country, given their ages. In my column.
No one I know reads your column anymore. Not after the DAR debacle in 1939, resigning over a colored singer's rights. The silliest thing I ever heard of.
Americans want to speak only about the good features of this country and to hide our problems like skeletons in the closet. Nothing good can be accomplished with that attitude.
But Freddie, about the colored people when we were on the verge of war. Did you actually resign your membership in the DAR because Miss Marian Anderson was denied singing privileges in their Constitution Hall?
I absolutely did. We Americans have never been willing to face this problem. One of the main destroyers of freedom is our attitude toward the colored race.
You are becoming a menace. Do you know that? Some of these ideas you spread about in your column, they're anti-American.
I have over 4 million readers. Think of the attention I can draw to the most important issues of our time.
Well, you must be raking in money hand over fist. The columns, your little articles, chatty speeches. Who wears the pants in your family anyway? You or Franklin?
In fact, last year I did earn more than Franklin for my writing.
Do you, dear? Do your dear devoted readers know how much filthy lucre you earn?
I donate all of it to charity, of course, through the American Friends Service Committee.
Of course you do.
I receive such moving letters from my readers, tragic and heartwarming, funny and receptive. Americans really are extraordinary. Here is one. Dear Mrs. Roosevelt, we are fully aware of the personal sacrifices you both are making for our country and us, and the trying times that coming years will bring. But we shudder to think of what might happen to us without our president and you at the wheel. We pray for his health and yours, and hope that you both have a nice summer and much-needed rest. Sincerely, Mrs. Juanita Jafares, San Francisco, California.
Yes, very important.
I think so. Thousands of letters like these come to me every week.
I see newspaper photos all the time of you pestering injured soldiers at military hospitals. Can't you leave them to recover in peace?
I do whatever I can to help.
Whenever I go to the cinema, you're in the newsreels, flying off to the Pacific or England or North America, North Africa.
The boys I see in the hospitals have seen so much blood and death and felt such terror.
Florence Nightingale, and all the gallant young men, eh?
Some of them just want a mother to hold their hand, to talk to. There was one boy whose face had been mostly blown off by a grenade.
No, Eleanor, please, I can't.
His entire head was wrapped in gauze, with just a small portal for him to breathe through. Think of the bravery of that young man. And he wasn't the only one, the extraordinary valor of them all.
Could you? How do you possibly still have a medal to... You and your husband have stayed too long. Time for both of you to relinquish the reins.
That is for the people to decide. We will be gone soon enough.
Why do all the men in my family die so young? Father and Quentin, Ted and Kurt. It seems as if God is punishing me. I have no one now except my small, nervous Paulina.
Why don't you ask Paulina to delay the wedding until later in the year? when you have had more time to recover from Ted's death.
I don't think she should get married so soon after, but she insists.
She does not truly understand what your brother meant to you.
Well, she should. She is simply the spiteful, ungrateful girl. I took her wherever I went, introduced her to everyone who mattered in the Republican Party.
Come now, dear. Your Paulina is charming, and she and Sandy make a lovely couple.
Well, she is my daughter, but she is an idiot. She only wants to marry him to run away from me.
I am sure that is not the reason.
Oh, I don't fool myself. I was not a terribly good mother. I wanted to be, but it was so boring. Paulina is too young to marry, but I have said no to her so often I didn't dare say it again.
Oh, you want to protect her.
It is sad, I suppose, that Nick did not live to see Paulina's wedding. Whatever his faults as a husband, at least he was an adoring father, which surprised no one more than me.
She was the apple of his eye.
Well, because he never demanded anything of her. So I had to. For in Oyster Bay, Roosevelt, Paulina was very weak. I was forced to finish her sentences, for God's sakes. Her stutter gets on my nerves. She takes so long to express a simple thought.
My own mistakes with motherhood are too numerous to count. I believe I honestly did love my children, but I don't believe they returned that love. Over 10 years, I was either getting pregnant or had just given birth. I scarcely had time to learn anything more than the basics without caring for a child.
Well, when one never had a real mother oneself, it is difficult to comprehend what it takes to be a good one.
I learned the same thing, only when it was too late to do anything about it. Elliot tells me I was cold. Franklin Jr. says I was hectoring. For years, Anna considered her granny her real mother. How inept I was.
We have that in common.
I would have preferred that something else drew us together.
They expelled Paulina from Vassar. The granddaughter of my father, President Theodore Roosevelt. Incomprehensible.
College is not forever.
But the school said she tried to kill herself when she was there, which I do not believe for a moment.
She was a wonderful playmate to my grandchildren when she was a girl, visiting with them in the White House.
There is something that I feel it only right that I tell Paulina before she marries.
Oh, not the facts of life. Oh, conversation.
No. This conversation is unique to our peculiar family. Paulina's father was not my husband, not Nick. She is actually Senator Bill Bora's daughter.
I have never believed that odious gossip.
I assure you, it is not gossip. I assumed I couldn't have a child, but there I was at 41, pregnant, and married to the wrong man.
Did Nick know?
Well, he might have guessed, but I jokingly told him I was thinking of naming the baby Deborah, as in of Bora. But he merely replied that he did not care for the name.
Alice, you cannot tell Paulina that, not on the eve of her wedding.
Well, if she believes she is old enough to marry, she is old enough to learn the truth of her paternity.
Toward what end? Please, think seriously about this before you say anything to Paulina. You know she's a delicate girl.
Well, it's time she toughened up then. Behaved like a Roosevelt.
If there is ever a right time to tell her, this is definitely not it. What with the sudden death of her Uncle Ted, her leaving school, and getting married, all of it at once.
Well, I would want to know if I was she.
But you are not she. Paulina doesn't have your strength, your self-assurance. Take care of her just a bit longer. I implore you to forget this reckless idea of yours. Tell her nothing. It could cause her to despise you and herself.
I would have married Bill Bora in an instant. We hadn't already been married.
Some things are best left forever unsaid and unknown.
Well, she should know that I came to loathe the man she thinks is her father.
Both of us must stop making selfish mistakes with our children, even if they are no longer children. We must reconcile with them if we are ever to forgive ourselves. who they are and not who we wish they were.
Well, I forgive no one their defects.
I wish for your sake you would learn to do so.
I must know something. Why aren't I invited to the White House anymore?
Why do you think that might be?
You don't mean that silly thing I said to that reporter.
I'd rather vote for Hitler than a third term for Franklin. Was that it?
I was only joking. It was a mean joke, but so funny. Franklin objected? Of course. Hitler or no Hitler, I would never vote for Franklin.
All the same, Franklin told me I never want anything to do with that damned woman again.
Would you tell him that I was simply acting more than gunner-like than usual? Invite me again, would you? How about the next time you host Churchill? I know I can charm Winston, and Franklin will forgive me then, I'm sure.
In any case, I am sorry to say so, but I must cut this meeting short. I should reply to correspondence and dictate my column to Miss Thompson. Please, show yourself out.
You and Franklin must feel as if you have won the Irish sweepstakes of life, beating out far worthier contestants, getting himself elected 3 times and having the gall to try for a 4th. That is, if he doesn't drop dead first. He's not been looking well, has he?
Alice, please control your ire. I know you are anxious.
I always knew Franklin was dangerous and selfish. Franklin the feather duster, the world's most admired man, and you, little orphan Ellie, the most admired. I almost despise all of you.
I do not think there is anything almost about it.
You know, in a way, we are like Queen Elizabeth and her cousin Mary, Queen of Scots. Rivals, battling for control of a great nation.
I never thought of us like that.
They never met, of course. And we've known each other all our lives. But think of it, alike but different, royal but real women, too.
Which of one of us is which? I would never have you beheaded, Alice. Would you promise the same to me?
Well, perhaps it is fortunate we didn't live back then.
Please give Paulina our best wishes.
I have registered her at Tiffany's. Silver is always best for a wedding gift. Don't you agree?
Scene 3, 13 years later, October 1957. 73-year-old Eleanor peers out a window.
Hurry, Alice, or we'll miss it.
That path outside needs to be better tended. I almost slipped on a blanket of leaves and broke my neck walking up your flagstones. Get someone to see to it immediately.
Alice, quickly, I think I see something.
Are you sure? I see a bright light. Is that what you are seeing?
There it goes!
Oh,
And I once thought driving a car was spectacular.
well, it was back in its time, but time, it seems, has moved on.
I am shaking all over.
But you've always been the excitable type.
You are not moved at the sight of such a thing.
Well, I'm not even sure what we're looking at. The tail end of what, a beach ball in space?
Just the mere fact of it is
I
extraordinary.
don't see the thrill about something that doesn't actually do anything.
The space age is upon us. I read that Sputnik means traveling companion. What a clever name for it.
Such a waste, don't you think? Firing on something that's just going to destroy itself and end up who knows where? Let the Russians have at it. I hope our government won't throw away my taxes on such foolishness.
would you ever want to go up in space?
Well, when I was younger, that's exactly the sort of adventure I hoped for.
I cannot imagine you ever too old for any adventurous or extravagant behavior.
Well, once upon a time, I danced on the top of a car, I jumped into a pool on board a ship, and I bet on the ponies. Father almost skinned me alive after that one.
I am sure you did much more than that.
I still keep a dagger in my handbag. What does that tell you?
You have always been a woman who relished taking risks. Is that why you are so enamored of Vice President Nixon and support him for president?
I am not enamored. He is simply a good and able man.
He is simply no such thing. Judging from his past exploits, he would make a poor president, to say the least.
Nonsense. You have him to thank for routing communists out of everywhere they were lurking, scheming to overthrow our government.
A vital public service, you believe?
It is a verifiable fact, just ask FBI Director Hoover.
Another unimpeachable source.
Mr. Nixon should be given the Congressional Medal of Honor for his patriotism.
What of his friend, Senator McCarthy? Birds of a feather, were they not?
But I give you this much. Senator McCarthy was a swine. He put his arm around me once and announced that he would call me Alice, as if we were friends. And I said to him, Senator, the trash man may call me Alice. The cop on the corner may call me Alice. But you, Senator McCarthy, may not.
Bravo! Although Mr. Nixon is hardly an improvement.
Mr. Nixon calls me Mrs. Longworth and says that I am the most fascinating conversationalist of our time. His campaign slogan is reassuring and straightforward, for the future. He won't let the Russians get away with anything. He will make us stronger.
Do Americans really need to be reassured about that kind of thing? Our country is quite strong and well defended already, but far from perfect. It is up to all of us to make it much better.
Is that the First Lady of the World speaking?
That title is terribly embarrassing.
Oh, you're fibbing, dear. I know that it must delight you. Why deny the truth?
If you think that the truth, then you really do not know me. Ever since President Truman said it, I cringe at the phrase.
Why did he call you that anyway? The United Nations folly?
Alice, being the first ambassador to the UN has been one of the miracles of my life.
Well, you must be joking. It looked like quite the bore.
Quite the opposite. To have participated in the creation of a universal declaration of human rights was a privilege I could never have imagined would be mine.
Well, it took you all 3 years to cobble that ridiculous thing together.
But it exists. In the history of the world, there has never been one single document like it that 48 nations have signed on to.
But you cribbed most of it from the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence.
Of course we did. The Constitution and the Declaration are two of the greatest texts in the history of government.
But when you plagiarize extraordinary documents like these, well, anyone could do what you did. In which case, I am certain that I, too, could be First Lady of the World.
I would never dispute it, not with a dagger in your hand.
How long do they say that this will orbit the Earth?
The Sputnik, about 98 minutes.
And then it will burn up and drop off somewhere unknown, unseen. What would that be like, I wonder? Just to flame out forever.
Alice, dear, permit me to help you.
No, I'm completely inconsolable. I cannot even bear speaking of her, of it.
I am desolate for you. She was a lovely, kind young woman.
No one has paid a higher price for bad mothering than me.
Almost no one.
Eleanor, I had to thank you face to face for the lovely, the extraordinary letter you wrote to me when Paulina died. It was...
She was a spirit perhaps too fragile for this world.
Please, let me say it out. I am not used to speaking like this, but I have got to
It's not necessary.
It was the kindest letter I have ever received. So tender, so caring. years ago. I should never have told her about her father, about Bill and me.
When did you tell her?
The night before.
The night before she was to be married.
I had to do it for Bill.
Bill had been dead for almost 4 years at the time.
For the sake of the truth, then. The whole truth. You should have seen her face. Her body, it caved as if she had been punched. She was utterly crushed. I assumed that she had accepted it and understood why I told her, but I believe now that I was fooling myself. It was selfish. And it was a stupid thing to do. And I don't know what I was thinking. Her death was an accident, you know. She had become a Catholic, and they don't permit suicide. The problem was mixing medicines. It's very dangerous.
Of course it was an accident. No one who loves her child as Paulina loved her sweet Joanna would ever purposely kill herself.
The Washington Post erroneously reported that it was a suicide. I forced them to retract that appalling article.
Good for you.
It was dear little Joanna that found her. With no empty pill bottles around either, not a one.
Of course.
You might have heard that she had been committed to a mental hospital previously, before she met Sandy. And then again, just after he died. But since then, she'd been feeling so much better. She told me.
Such a young man. Hepatitis wasn't.
He was a falling down drunk. Who else gets cirrhosis at 28? And he was cruel to Paulina. Almost as cruel as I was. Don't hug me. I cannot bear a sympathetic embrace.
I'm sorry, Alice.
Be thankful that you have never outlived a child. It is the worst thing imaginable. Pardon me, Mother, please. I have forgotten how.
That was so long ago. Almost 50 years. Franklin is buried next to him now, so the baby won't be lonely anymore.
I will be buried next to her, alive in Washington, and be with her forever. Probably sooner than later. If you can believe it, she left me to raise Joanna. This time I will do it right. I know I can be a loving grandmother.
It is so much easier than being a mother, and so rewarding.
I've come to understand that grandchildren are our children's gift to us in spite of ourselves.
It is the most wonderful job in the world. Next to being UN ambassador.
So Ike didn't ask you to stay on in the UN after he was elected?
It was to be expected. I was appointed by his predecessor.
Well, if only it hadn't taken all of you so very long to pass one little declaration of human... Never mind. I don't even have the heart to tease you today. Fact is that everyone, even grumpy Arthur Vandenberg, said you did an extraordinary job at the UN. So if anyone wants to call you First Lady of the World, I won't argue with them.
Well, thank you.
Which reminds me, happy birthday in advance, Eleanor. What a strange age to be. 73.
I have been feeling it lately. I travel a great deal still, and I am loath to surrender to old age crotches, but there are the aching knees that wake me in the morning. When I was younger, I could envision being old, just not getting old. Everything becomes a bit more difficult.
You know, you, Franklin, Nick, and I, we all could have had such a lot of fun. If only the old damn presidency hadn't come between us.
If only many things had happened differently. Oh, take care of yourself, dearest. We too don't have many more birthdays left.
But not necessarily. I have just taken up yoga. I not only can sit in a lotus position, I can put my foot behind my ear. Let me show you.
Scene 4, 5 years later, September 1962. 78-year-old Alice and Eleanor meet for the last time. Alice pulls a pillow out of a bag.
I brought you something. A duplicate of a pillow that I keep at my home in Washington.
If you haven't got anything nice to say about anybody, come sit next to me. How perfectly that captures you.
It does, doesn't it? The original has pride of place in my living room on full nasty display.
Well, I will keep it here at Malkiel and think of you fondly.
I hope you will.
I love this cottage. It has been my salvation for decades.
Does anyone ever journey up here so far above the big house?
Chairman Khrushchev, Prime Minister Nehru, Marshal Tito, Shirley Temple, Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands, not the world's most stimulating conversationalist, Mr. Churchill.
A rogues gallery.
Perhaps. And of course, President Kennedy sat with me here.
President Kennedy came here to meet with you?
Before the election, I was dubious about him then and chary about endorsing him. Too much a creation of his horrendous father, I feel. But he proved me wrong, called me courageous.
I think he was flirting with you. He is quite the ladies' man, they say.
I was very touched.
The Kennedys are fascinating, an incredible outfit. There hasn't been anything like them since the Bonapartes.
After my conversation with Mr. Kennedy, I liked him better than I ever had before. I think he has a mind open to new ideas.
And do you know, Jackie, it is marvelous to see how that golly-wog of a girl developed into such an enchanting creature.
The President has made me chairwoman of his Commission on the Status of Women, which I have been wanting to see in this country for the longest time.
I agree.
You do?
Definitely. I'm all for increasing the status of women.
I am astounded, but in a good way.
Now, I have become great friends with the Attorney General.
Bob, do not forget that he worked with that horrid Senator McCarthy on that atrocious committee.
But doesn't he look adorable in his horn-rimmed glasses?
I should think we want more than a handsome face for the Attorney General of the United States.
Not necessarily. Dick Nixon would have made a fine president, you know.
Mr. Nixon is and was an untrustworthy actor, always performing in the theater of his own ambitions and fabrication.
He'll be back. He's too smart for this premature end to his political career. Oh dear, am I keeping you from a nap?
Just the slightest bit worn out. My young doctor thinks I have something called a plastic anemia. However, you look as spry as ever.
I admit it, I'm as mean as ever, which keeps me young.
Uh-huh.
Eleanor,
I have invited the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King to be a guest on my television program. I am expected to hear from him any time now.
the Negro minister from Atlanta?
A great leader and a powerful voice for justice. In my column, I predicted that he will be the future of Negro rights in this country.
Yes, I quite admire him.
In all our lives, you never cease to amaze never said anything like that before. Quite the contrary, as I recall.
Do you mean when I supposedly said I am trying terribly hard to be impartial and malevolent at the same time? But when I think of Frank and Eleanor in the White House, I could grind my teeth to powder and blow them out my nose.
Among other comments of the kind.
Well, most of the quotes attributed to me were said by others, you know, or completely fictitious.
You have been misquoted all these years.
Well, at times. Nonsense news, I call it.
In my columns, I have always been rigorous about quoting sources accurately.
But I haven't seen your column for a while. Have you finally run out of empty insights and boring anecdotes?
I thought it was time to pause for a bit. I have been writing it 6 days a week for over 25 years.
Someone told me, in jest, obviously, that President Kennedy had nominated you for a Nobel Prize.
Yes, perhaps, something of the sort.
Called you a living symbol of understanding and peace.
Pointless chatter.
Your modesty has long been an unfortunate fetish, my dear.
Not at all. We do what we are put here to do. Nothing to get awards for.
Don't you ever tire of running about, making speeches, trying to convince people of your terribly liberal point of view?
I think I have a good deal of Uncle Ted in me, because I cannot, even at this age, be content to take my place in a corner by the fireside and simply look on.
Well, of all the president's wives, none have used her position in quite the same way you have, although I'm sure I would have.
If you had been a president's wife.
If I had been president. Do you think we shall ever see a lady president?
The 20th century certainly seems the one for miracles. If we have enough female voters, perhaps we can vote one in ourselves. I do not think we can count on the men for that.
Perhaps by the time Joanna is of age.
How extraordinary that would be.
It is time for the women in our family to start their own Roosevelt political dynasty.
Please let your Joanna know that she is welcome any time to visit here with me.
Oh, my granddaughter is the joy of my old age. See, she seems to love me completely in return. We go to a ranch in Montana together every summer and ride horses, and what a glorious feeling that is. We dine together every evening at my home in Washington. We play piano duets. My poor dear, too tender Pauline. My heart's tragedy. If only I could have loved her better.
Alice, do you know the poem Psyche by Virginia Moore? Finding the pull of breath better than death, the soul that had believed and was deceived ends by believing more.
Believing more. What? What?
I like to think of a benign force who helps us forgive ourselves and to whom we can unburden our troubles. After I found that poem, I was able to think back on the heartbreak with Franklin and all the other disappointments and heartbreaks in a different way.
I am not a religious woman.
I do not think one has to be religious, only open to turning toward the compassion within ourselves. The important thing is that we meet life with courage and with the best that we have to give, and that we keep going.
That sounds fine. But not everyone has your courage.
Beg pardon? What did you say?
Oh, what was that?
Did you say something?
No, I don't believe I did.
I see. Dr. King, thank you so much for returning my call. Well, I would like to ask you about Governor Barnett's unfortunate speech.
I would like to talk to him.
Agreed. But then he adds the worst insult of all.
Eleanor, ma'am,
by blocking Mr. Meredith's entrance to the university.
Eleanor,
Oh, an appalling scene.
please, Eleanor, the phone. May I, please?
There is someone in my home, my cousin, and dear friend, who wishes very much to speak with you.
Dr. King, Alice Longworth here. I must tell you how greatly I admire your work, and that my father, President Theodore Roosevelt, invited Booker T. Washington to the White House.
Yes.